This is the fifth of 7 videos on process choice. In this video, we look at the line flow process. Line flow process is the fourth from the left or the second from the right on the process choice spectrum. It's the second last among the 5 processes on the process choice spectrum. To understand the line flow process, let's take the example of the Boeing assembly line. Here you can see the planes are assembled step by step along a long line. In each step of this line, some part is added to the body, the chassis of the plane, or some part is polished, finished. Some operation is performed on the part in order to take the plane towards its completion. So what does a line flow process look like? Typically, on a line flow, there are a large number of machines and men in sequence from the beginning to the end of the assembly. There could be, for example, as many as, say, 10 steps on the line. There could be 50 steps on the line, and sometimes long lines can have hundreds of steps. The same sequence is followed for each unit produced, and there is very little or hardly any flexibility or no flexibility at all. You have only one product which is made again and again, step after step on the line. The same line sometimes may also be used to assemble different models of the same item. For example, let's say a car. A car may have very similar models, like the Swift Desire and the Swift. So very similar looking models they're built on the same platform. They may be assembled on the same line. Okay, but the sequence of operations remains the same. The only difference is that some operations may not be required for some models. So that would be the difference between the different models which pass through that line. This is an example of food production on an assembly line. When the volumes required are much more than in a batch process, then food also can be produced on an assembly line, kind of a production process like this. So here we see donuts being made in large volumes on this line. So the schematic diagram, you can see how this contrasts with the schematics we saw of the batch process and even earlier of the job shop process. Here you can see machines arranged almost in a straight line, and there is a second line which comes and flows into the first line. We see the products going step after step. All the products follow almost the same sequence of machines, right? So the divergence is low. The nature of the work is highly repetitive. The flows are also called as connected flows in contrast to jumbled flows. Earlier, in the case of job shop, we saw jumbled flows, but here the flows are very less jumbled. They are very connected. There is more streamlining. So the characteristics of a line flow process are high volumes, very low variety, and highly standardized offerings. The variety within a line is either zero or is minimal. The flow is fairly inflexible, means that you can't change product to product. Unlike in a job shop, there is a high variety of products, but in a line flow, variety is very low. And the repetition is very high. Some customization sometimes is possible, and owing to the very low level of customization, this is mostly made to stock. Most of the time, line flow is used when made to stock products are made in large quantities. So because it's made to stock and there is no order on hand when the production happens, a line flow process depends heavily on demand forecasts. Some examples of line flow processes are assembly of a physical product, and that could be anything. I showed you an airplane, I showed you a donut, but it could be an automobile, TV, shoes, washing machines, printers, mobile phones. You can think of any number of products. In the service sector, you can think of transportation over standard routes. For example, city buses or flights, the trains, the railway service, they use standard routes. So you have route number this from this place to this place, that is fixed. The timetables are fixed. So this corresponds to the line flow process of manufacturing. Postal mail, for example, there could be standard routes that postal mail already has, it already follows, and those routes are like a line flow process. Mass market retail food production, such as biscuits, chips, bread, and so on. So these are some examples of line flow process. With this, we close our discussion on the line flow, and going forward, we will next look at the continuous flow process. Thank you.